Alongside protesters at an ICE facility in Chicago, that is Pastor David Black. He is praying. Yes, ICE agents firing pepper balls just shot Pastor Black in the head. And a reminder that what goes around comes around, at least sometimes in our justice system. Headline: Pastor shot in the head by ICE agents sues Trump administration over First Amendment threats in Chicago. Pastor Black joined other protesters and journalists in seeking a court injunction against ICE. Quote, federal agents have responded with a pattern of extreme brutality in a concerted and ongoing effort to silence the press and civilians. Dressed in full combat gear, often masked, carrying weapons, bearing flash grenades and tear gas canisters, and marching in formation, federal agents have repeatedly advanced upon those present at the scene who posed no imminent threat to law enforcement. Now, just days after the lawsuit was filed, headline: Illinois judge blocks federal authorities from using force against Chicago journalists. The temporary restraining order issued by District Judge Sarah Ellis, an appointee of former President Barack Obama, blocks Trump administration authorities from requiring journalists to leave public spaces and using riot control weapons on the press, protesters, or clergy who are not posing an immediate threat to the safety of a law enforcement officer or others. Just hours later, another judge temporarily blocked the deployment of National Guard troops in Chicago.
Breaking news, a major blow to Trump's crackdown on American cities. A judge just blocking Trump's deployment of National Guard troops to Chicago for at least 2 weeks, warning that it will only, quote, add fuel to the fire. The judge also calling the use of chemical agents against protesters, quote, arbitrary and indiscriminate.
So, in the wake of ICE agents firing pepper balls at protesters and a pastor, 2 judges have issued rulings against the Trump administration. One judge said federal troops, for now, are banned from Chicago. The other judge said ICE agents engaged in deportation raids may not use riot control weapons against protesters. On CNN, Pastor David Black.
It's a victory that belongs to everyone who lives in the United States of America, and particularly to the brave protesters and demonstrators who've been showing up. And I am so grateful for the work of the ACLU and Lovie and Lovie, who argued this case so well and brought it to this conclusion.
ICE agents in this incident did more than just shoot the pastor with pepper balls. Moments after Pastor Black was hit and got back up off the ground, another video shows ICE agents pushing him and spraying chemical irritants in his face.
You can see in that video ICE officers shoving protesters who are standing and speaking and chanting and singing peacefully and praying peacefully, shoving us down and then dispensing a huge amount of chemical weapons onto us. I was drenched from the crown of my head to the socks in my shoes. It was indiscriminate and it was vicious.
But there did not appear to be much, if any, humanity from some of the ICE agents. And when firing down at the protesters from the roof, a few of the agents seemed to take some sadistic pleasure in their use of force.
Yeah, we could hear them laughing as they were shooting us from the roof, and it was deeply disturbing. We've gotten to witness a few things about these ICE agents operating in broad view, and really what it has shown us is how disorganized they are and how poorly supervised and trained they are.
ICE spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin responded to all of this with the usual Trump administration response. She lied. McLaughlin wrote on X, "What this clip video doesn't show is that these agitators were blocking an ICE vehicle from leaving the federal facility, impeding operations."
It's categorically false. There were no ICE vehicles attempting to leave the facility, and I was standing to the side in a gesture of prayer and praying verbally for the ICE officers and those detained inside.
Video confirms the pastor's account and contradicts the ICE spokesperson. The footage shows the ICE facility gate was closed and Black was not blocking it. He was standing in front of a section of fence next to the gate. But even if the pastor had been blocking ICE operations, is an ICE vehicle going out to conduct a deportation raid really worth shooting a reverend in the head with a non-lethal projectile? The Trump administration says yes, but thankfully, judges keep saying no way. And the Trump team lies in press releases, social media postings, and in court are coming back to bite the Trump administration. Judges are pointing to the administration's lack of credibility and honesty. And now, the judges have ruled that ICE must stop using force against journalists and protesters, and that federal troops cannot enter Chicago to back up ICE or for any other mission. This is a clear win for Pastor Black, for protesters, and for state and local leaders. There's always the possibility, of course, that the Trump administration will simply ignore the court rulings, place soldiers in Chicago, and tell the troops and ICE agents to attack anybody that Donald Trump or his goons do not like. For now, however, the rule of law seems to be holding, and reality is winning. As the judges pointed out, there is no rebellion in Chicago. Violence this year is down, not up. And if federal agents want to try and deport undocumented workers, the action must be taken in accordance with constitutional due process. In other words, trigger-happy federal goons cannot shoot a journalist, protester, or pastor. It's not funny. It's not legal. And beyond all of that, it underscores how sick and demented federal actions under Trump have become. America is better than this, as the judges keep ruling. By the way, the Trump prosecutor in the James Comey case just had to make a stunning admission in court. None of the 100 attorneys in Lindsay Halligan's office were willing to help her in court, so Halligan had to bring in prosecutors from another district.
These AUSAs going in and telling judge, we don't really have all the details.
Right.
We're new to this. Having been in court and worked with tons of AUSAs over the years, I've never heard of that or seen it. Probably not what a judge wants to hear. I'll put it in the category, I arrested a bank robber when I was a very young agent, and the defense said that my client was drunk when he robbed the bank, so he shouldn't be held culpable. My jaw dropped, but this is really just about as impressive as that was. I just have never seen that before.
I don't believe they have a case, Bill, based on what we've seen in the indictment and what we know from the public reporting. But now we're going to find out. The judge will set a schedule for the filing of motions. I expect that Comey's team is going to make motions, particularly about selective prosecution and that sort of thing. And the judge will have to rule on that. And if the case doesn't get thrown out prior to a trial date, we'll have a trial.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from a lawyer who wrote, "Disbar her and Bondi and the rest of the corrupt Department of Justice." I hear you. I look forward to reading your comments about judges hammering the Trump administration after ICE agents shot pepper balls at a peaceful protester, including a pastor. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.